ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य
ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया
ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया
चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः।
श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं
श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं येन भूतले
स्वयं
स्वयं
रूपा
रूपा कदा मह्यं
ददाति
ददाति
स्वपदान्तिकम्
स्वपदान्तिकं।
वन्देऽहं
वन्देऽहं
श्रीगुरुं
श्रीगुरुपद्मकमलं
श्रीगुरुं च
गुरुवैष्णवं च
श्रीरूपं
श्रीरूपं
साग्रजातं सतं सजीवं
साग्रजातं
साद्वैतं सावधूतं
साधुद्वैतं
परिजनसहितं
साधुद्वैतं
कृष्णचैतम्
परिजनसहित
श्री
कृष्णचैतन्यं
श्रीराधाकृष्ण पादान्
पादा
सगणललिता श्रीवासादिगणशिष्टामणिपुरंश्च
कवितां
हे
च
कृष्णा करुणा
हे कृष्ण
सिन्धु
करुणा सिन्धु
दीनबन्धु जगत्पते
जगत्पते
गोपेश गोपिकाकान्ता
गोपिकान्ता
राधाकान्त
राधाकान्ता
नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे
राधे
वृन्दावनेश्वरी
वृन्दावनेश्वरी
कृष्णानुहृदय
कृष्णानुहृदये देवी
प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये
हरिप्रिये
वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर नमो
हरे
विष्णुपादाय
कृष्ण
कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले
भूतले
श्रीमति भक्ति वेदांता
वेदान्त
स्वामी
स्वामी
नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती
नमस्ते
देवे
सरस्वते देवे
गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे
गौरवाणी
निर्विशेष शून्यवादी
शून्यवादी
पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे
पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे
मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं
तमं
लङ्घायते गिरिं
पङ्गुलाङ्गयतिगिरं
यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारणं परमानन्दमाधवं
कृष्ण
श्रीकृष्णचैतन्य
चैतन्य
ईश्वरं
ईश्वर
गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय
राधिकाय
तदालये
तदालये
कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय
भक्ताय
नमो नमः।
भक्ताय नमो नमः।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे
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 हरे राम
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 हरे
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 हरे।
Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for joining. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than Krishna, who came in this yuga about 500 years back. He came to give us Harinam, Hari Kirtan, to give us the basic principles of bhakti. He came to establish the Yug Dharma of Sankirtan. He came to establish the this Japa or Sankirtan movement, Sankirtan Yagya, as the Yug Dharma. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Gauranga, he personally appeared basically to teach bhakti to the people of Kali Yuga. And he did that through his various disciples, and 6 of those disciples were very prominent. Those 6 disciples were instructed to live in Vrindavan. And they are known as the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. They were given various tasks to perform. One of the tasks was to write a lot of devotional literature. Other tasks were like to find out the pastime places of Radha Krishna, and then another task was to establish Vaishnav code of conduct, Vaishnav character, Vaishnav etiquettes. So these were the 3 main tasks that were given to the Goswamis of Vrindavan. So they wrote a lot of devotional literature, especially Rup Goswami was very much empowered to write a lot of. So Rup Goswami was especially empowered to write a lot of devotional literature. All of them received instructions, personal instructions from Mahaprabhu. Now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Rup Goswami for 10 days straight, and at the in a place called Prayag at the Dash Ashwamedh Ghat. So Arup Goswami received instructions for 10 continuous days from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So remember, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than Krishna. And based on those instructions, Rup Goswami wrote a lot of devotional literature. And one of those books is this. And this is called Updeshamrita. Updesh plus Amrit. Updeshamrita. Updesh means instructions and Amrit means nectar. So nectar here means, first of all, these instructions are very nectarian, but also they give us the immortal life. They help us to enter into the Amrit stage, into the spiritual platform, into the immortal life. So these instructions take us to the transcendental platform. That's why they are nectarian instructions, nectar of instructions, Updeshamrit. So Updeshamrit consisted of 11 verses, and these were further they were written in Sanskrit, but they were further translated by Prabhupada into English. So Prabhupada gave us Updeshamrit, which was written in Sanskrit by Rup Goswami, and he translated everything into English. And Prabhupada also gave us these purports to each verse, to each of these 11 verses. The beauty of this book, Nectar of Instruction, is that these instructions are very practical applications. These are very easy to apply points. These are very fundamental principles. And these are meant for people, this book is meant for people who have already accepted bhakti as the path of spiritual perfection. So they are not the people who are going on Gyan Marg or Karm Kandi Marg, or trying to practice mystic yoga, trying to get some siddhis. No, these are the people who have accepted, after reading Bhagavad Gita, they understand that bhakti is the topmost process. So now they have accepted bhakti in their life, devotional service in their life. For those people, for those sadhakas who are now applying bhakti as the path of self-realization, for them, this is the book, Nectar of Instruction. For them, these instructions are meant. So you can call it like bhakti for dummies. I often call it bhakti for dummies, which means that for initial people, for struggling people, for sadhakas, it's bhakti has been broken down into very easy to apply steps, the basic do's and don'ts of bhakti. And it starts from basic stages, like initial stages of do's and don'ts, rules and regulations. And as you saw, it goes to the highest platform of Vrajvas or Radha Bhav, or Vas at Radha Kund. So it goes to a very high level, starting from the very low level. So this was the this is the masterpiece by Srila Rup Goswami. So coming to the first verse, I will just quickly summarize the first verse, then we will recite it. First verse talks about, so first of all, basic principle of Bhagavad Gita is we are soul living in this body. The way I try to remember this is, how do we live in this body? How does the soul live in this body? How does the soul control the urges caused by this body? And body has three things: body, mind, and words. Okay. So this verse tells you how to control body, mind, and words. BMW, body, mind, and words. So body means it tells you to control three things. Please look at the screen. Three things in a sequence: the tongue, then stomach, and then genitalia. In our body, they're situated in a sequence. Tongue aati hai pehle, then stomach is in the middle, genitalia is in the bottom part of the body. So tongue, belly, and genitalia. How to control the urges of these three things? Okay, these are given. Then manasa vegam. Manasa vegam includes urges of mind, like unnecessary thoughts, unnecessary emotions, etc. Mind, unnecessary desires, and anger. Anger also is a function of mind. Anger also comes because of these frustrated emotions, frustrated desires, and frustrated thoughts. So anger, how to control anger. Okay. So body and mind, and then words, vacho vegam. So body, so these six urges are divided into the urges of body, mind, and words. Body includes tongue, belly, and genitalia. Mind includes mind and anger, and words include speech. So those are the six urges we should control while living in this body. And whoever can control the urges of this body, uh, of these six main things, that person is a Goswami. Prabhupada says that person is a master of their body. That person is a master of their senses and mind. Go means senses, Swami means mind. So that person is a master of their senses. And such person can make disciples all over the world. Because this is the first principle of self-realization. Whether or not you are a bhakta or you are a devotee, anybody on any spiritual path, whether they're on Gyan Marg, any Marg, they should be able to follow these basic, the foremost principle of self-realization is to know how to live in this body, how to control the urges of body, mind, and words. So those are the six things we have to control. And Vega means a very strong urge. So you'll see Vega word keeps repeating. Vega means a very strong impulse. It is such an immediate urge that demands a very quick action. it wants to be pacified very quickly. So that is called a vega. So vacho vegam means urge of speech. Manasa krodha vegam, both are urges of mind and anger. Jiva is of tongue. Udar is of belly. Upast is of genitalia. These three come in the same line in the body. So सबसे ऊपर tongue, बीच में belly और सबसे नीचे genitalia. So these 6 things, whoever can control, that person has a right to make disciples all over the world. This is the first verse. And we discussed in this verse that it is important to know how to live in this body, because that is because these things cause distractions. When somebody is trying to follow a spiritual path, these things cause unnecessary distraction for a spiritualist. So a Goswami is master of these things, and they have clarity because they're not distracted by their senses, mind, anger, genitalia all the time. So they are not confused. They have clarity of vision, clarity of purpose. They have time and energy, and they keep their resources, they keep these vital resources, senses, mind, etc., to engage in the services to advance on the spiritual path. They do not they do not give into the urges, whimsical urges posed by these senses and mind. So since they have these perfect control, they have very clear purpose, clear goal. They are not confused in this world. So they know how to live in this body properly. This was the first verse. Now let's recite this. We'll all recite it together since we don't have much time. Vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jiva vegam, udarupastha
Rupastu
vegam,
vegam,
etan
etan
vegan,
vegam,
yo
yo
vishaye
vishaye
dhira,
dhira,
sarvam
sarvam
apimam,
apimam,
prithvim
prithvim
sashishayat.
sasishyayat.
Okay, can somebody read the translation?
I can read. A sober person who cannot tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Hare Krishna, everyone, for joining. So I said before that this is a book for devotees, people who have accepted devotional service as their path to self-realization, path to perfection of life, to reach absolute truth. So somebody can say, but this is not part of bhakti really, because bhakti means Shravanam, Kirtanam, the 9 limbs of devotional service. But Prabhupada tells us that these 6 urges need to be controlled even in order to engage in those 9 limbs of devotional service. So these things help in performing those 9 limbs of devotional service. That's why these are the preemptive requirement. These are the basic requirements for any spiritual path, because you cannot start those 9 limbs of devotional service without having some amount of control on your speech, mind, genitalia, anger, belly, and all these things. And we had, when we did these classes, we discussed in detail how to achieve control or how to regulate your speech. One of the things about speech was that we should, the worst type of speech is to speak nonsense. The second level is if at least not speak nonsense, then stay quiet. And the best type of speech is to speak Krishna's names, like chanting of holy names, japa or kirtan, or to speak harikatha, basically to do the kirtan of Krishna's name, form, qualities, pastimes, either by speaking, by singing, or by chanting Krishna's names. That's the best utilization of speech. In mind, we had talked about meditation, mantra meditation, fixing the mind on Krishna's lotus feet, and negative processes do not work. We cannot empty the mind artificially. We have to focus on something positive. So positive engagement is needed for the mind. About anger, we had talked about restraining it. So there should be pause when something provokes you. There should be a pause between your response to that provocation. Before that reaction comes, there should be a pause, and then you should, in a controlled way, you can release that anger um, in a way that expresses your authority. In a regulated way, you can release the anger. Use it use anger very, very carefully with people that are in your authority, that are under your subordination or under your guidance, and in a way that it does not without creating a scene, like in a personal setting, one-on-one setting, just in order to give feedback or critique, you can release it on a very few people in a very regulated fashion. So use that anger, not let it consume you. So those people are Goswamis who know these principles, and that's why these are called regulative principles of freedom. So that's why we follow no meat eating, no illicit sex, or no intoxication. Why? Because these are principles of freedom. They set you free from the control of senses and mind. That's why we are not our goal is not to become Godas. Our goal is to become Goswami. So people are slaves of Maya. People are victims of their senses and mind. We have to become the masters of senses and mind. Tongue also, we had discussed how to control tongue is by eating prasadam, by avoiding illicit things, by offering first to the Lord, and uh, eating in a even when you eat prasad, it should not be eaten with a material consciousness. Even if you eat prasad with a material consciousness, it's not good. We should eat with a spiritual consciousness, just to eat that much amount that is nourishing for our body, not for sense gratification, not just excessively over consuming prasad either, and not over consuming very luxurious food. So we had discussed various points on how to control different urges. Next verse, number 2, second verse discussed. So the first verse was how to live in this body, because soul is living in the body. It needs to control the urges of that body by controlling the senses, mind, and words. Body, mind, and words, BMW. Second verse talks about how to live in this world, how much to engage in this world, what to do and what not to do in this world. So for that, again, 6 things were given in all these 4 verses, first 4 verses. 6 principles have been given in each verse. So this also gives 6 principles. So the first principle was atyahar. We should not over consume in this world. Overconsumption or excessive indulgence in this world means overconsumption of food, overconsumption of money, or excessive things around us, furniture or material or property, or basically excess of things, excess of anything is overconsumption of this world. Overindulgence in this world, whether on gross level or even on subtle level, is unfavorable. These 6 things are unfavorable for our bhakti. They cause loss of bhakti, they cause destruction of bhakti. So one is overconsumption. Prayas means extra endeavor in this world, trying too hard, being overly ambitious for excessive money or fame, name, followers, various, to get all these things. When one makes extra endeavors, takes extra risks, and spends extra resources than that is possible for them. That is called prayas. So don't try too hard in this world, because it is temporary. Everything is temporary. So don't try too hard. And prajalpa means unnecessary talking, unnecessary waste of speech. So unnecessary talking, like gossiping, spreading rumors, excessive critique or fault finding of people. And Prabhupada has even included like excessive social media or extra news, even hearing or watching of TV shows and these other mundane, ordinary things that just take you away from spiritual path, from bhakti. These things can have negative, contaminating influence on our gross and subtle body, especially subtle body. They can pollute our mind and intelligence. So we should not engage in prajalpa. Okay, it's compared to croaking of a toad. It's loose talk, frivolous talk, unnecessary talk like gramya katha, that should be avoided. Niyamagraha, very important principle to avoid when practicing bhakti. It has 2 meanings, niyam agraha and niyam agraha. Agraha means to strongly accept a rule without understanding the principle. Okay, agraha means to just follow the rule for the sake of the rule, not understanding the principle behind it. In such a way, like people become stickler to the rule. So the rule itself starts harming them. तो हमने इसके लिए बहुत सारे एग्जांपल्स लिए थे कि फॉर एग्जांपल द रूल इज आई विल ओनली गो टू टेंपल इफ आई एम वेयरिंग धोती, tilak, and but let's say one day you had to go to temple, you did not have access to those things, so I won't go to temple. So that is like being a stickler to the rule, not understanding the principle behind the rule. And so forgetting the main principle and just sticking to the rule for the sake of the rule, that is called agraha. Whereas agraha means whimsically rejecting the rule, whimsically neglecting the rule, failure to accept. Like you have resources to do certain things, yet you decide, nahi, main nahi karunga. I will not follow that rule. So, like we say, okay, chant on the beads. So even if you have the beads, you say, nahi, I'm just going to chant on my fingers. But you have the beads, you have the time, you're sitting down properly. Why don't you just chant on the beads? So whimsically neglecting. Or whimsically accepting will be strongly accepting ki, okay, I don't have my beads today, so I won't chant at all because we are supposed to chant on the beads. No, if you don't have the beads, it's okay to chant on the fingers. So understand the principle behind a rule and don't just stick to the rule for the sake of rule. But if you're able to follow the rule, you have the resources, then don't whimsically neglect the rule either. Okay, that's niyam agraha or niyam agraha, two meanings. Janasanga. Janasanga means association of ordinary people that can have negative impact on you and that may influence you towards their ordinary way of life and distract you from bhakti by engaging you in various worldly activities. So worldly people, worldly minded people. And lolyam means greed for the things of this world. Greed for, it could be greed for various positions, power, designations, credentials, or money, or greed for mundane things, basically, is lolyam. So these are the 6 principles: overindulgence in the world, over endeavor, loose talk, talking without thinking, niyamagraha, following the rules too strictly and forgetting the principle, or not following the rule even though you're able to, is niyamagraha. Jansanga, association of ordinary worldly minded people that have the contaminating influence on you, giving them, taking inspiration from them, or sharing your heart with such people. Lolyam means greed for this world. So this is Shadbir Bhakti Vinashyati. These 6 principles destroy the bhakti. Let's read this translation. Can somebody read?
Can read, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
One's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities. 1. Eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required. 2. Over endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain. 3. Talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters. 4. Practicing the spiritual rule and regulation only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rule and regulations of scriptures and working independently or whimsically. 5. Associating with worldly minded person who are not interested in Krishna consciousness. And 6. Being greedy for mundane achievements. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So I hope that's understandable. Let's move on to the next. First 4 are very important, so I'm just taking more time with the first 4. First 4 are also memory verses, so please try to remember them. Oh, we didn't recite the verse. Let's recite the verse. Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamagraha jansangascha lolyam cha
Jansangascha lolyam cha
shadbir bhakti vinashyati.
Shadbir bhakti vinashyati.
Let's recite the next one and read it before we discuss it. Utsahan nishchaya dhairyat
Utsahanishchayadhairyat
tat karma pravartanat
tat karma pravartanat
sangatyagat sato vritte
sangatyagat sato vritte
shadbir bhakti prasidyati.
Shadbir bhakti prasidyati.
Can someone read this?
Okay, read.
Yes, Mataji.
There are 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service. 1. Being enthusiastic. 2. Endeavoring with confidence. 3. Being patient. 4. Acting according to regulative principles, such as Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam, hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna. 5. Abandoning the association of non-devotees, and 6. Following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success in pure devotional service.
Rebool. So again, first verse was how to live in this body. Second verse was how to live in this world. Third verse is how to stay alive in bhakti or how to thrive in bhakti. So how do you live in the bhakti? By being excited, enthusiastic, with utsaha. So you have to do bhakti with utsaha. Because remember, bhakti, the results may be happening at a very subtle level and may not be very apparent to you in a short run, in a very on a temporary, in our in a very, we may not see very quick results. So there may be very long-term results. And so people tend to become impatient. They lose their utsaha, they lose their confidence, they lose their conviction or faith, they lose their determination. So those things are needed when practicing devotional service. You need excitement. You should perform devotional service with determination, with patience. Have patience. That remember that this is the only thing that matters, and this is the only thing that will save you. This is the only thing that will endure. Everything else will be lost. Have that conviction that temporary things of this world, achievements and activities of this world will not last, will not have any eternal results. Whereas these activities, they will bring you reciprocation from Krishna sooner or later. They will bring changes in you, transformation in you, and they will have eternal benefit, not only in this life, but on your future journey also. So remember that, and with that conviction, have faith, have determination, and practice bhakti. So tat tat karma pravartanat. Other than excitement, determination, and patience, we should also be following the rules and regulations. So do's and don'ts of bhakti. Sangha Tyagat, again, giving up the association of ordinary people and following in the footsteps of the Acharya. So keep doing these things to stay alive in bhakti. So just hang on, just stay alive, just stay attached to the process of Krishna consciousness. Remember that the process works. Have faith in the process and follow it through. If you keep following the process, it will fructify. You will see the results. So have that conviction, and with excitement, keep following the path. So with these 6 things, the bhakti will flourish. There is a lot to be said about this, but we'll keep moving. Let's go to the next one, verse 4. So then we said how to stay alive in bhakti. And remember, the first principle of bhakti is association of devotees. So now the verse tells us how to associate with devotees. So in order to practice devotional service, you have to associate with devotees. How to associate? So this is the principle. Let's recite. Dadati pratigrihnati. Dadati pratigrihnati. Guhyam akhyati pritchati. Guhyam akhyati pritchati. Bhunkte bhojayate chaiva. Bhunkte bhojayate chaiva. Shadvidham priti lakshanam. Shadvidham priti lakshanam. Can someone read this?
I can read Mataji.
Yes, ma'am.
Offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasada, and offering prasada are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another.
Very bol. So 6 loving exchanges between devotees. How to associate with devotees is given. Again, 6 exchanges. So we read 6 urges to control, 6 unfavorable things to avoid, 6 favorable things to practice, and now 6 ways to exchange love with the devotees. Priti Lakshanam. What are the 6 symptoms or Lakshan of Priti? 6 symptoms of love between devotees is that they share gifts with each other. Dadati pratigrinati. So gifts means it is something to show your gratitude, to show your love, to show your respect for the devotees. You give something in charity and you accept it. They give you something lovingly, you accept it in return. Guhya Makyati Prichati. So this is the Dati Pratigranati principle, giving something and accepting something. It's not like we are putting other people in some unnecessary obligation. It's not that. The intention here is to show your gratitude for their association, to show love to them, to show your real, genuine affection through something something tangible. So and pratigrinati means to accept it. So even if it may be a little bit inconvenient sometimes, it is okay to accept gifts from the devotees, because this is their the expression of their heart. This is love from their heart. So just like, a mother might give a child something to show her love, or a brother gives something to their sister. So similarly, just like in family we exchange gifts, so this is like exchanging gifts between devotees, shows that you are my real family. This is my family. This is, you are somebody that matters a lot to me, and I'm showing you how much I value your presence in my life by exchanging a little something with you. So this is a way of bondage, showing your bondage, your friendship with them. Guhyam Akyati Prichati means to share your heart with them. So Guhyam Akyati Prichati. So you ask in confidence about their heart, like what is something that's bothering them, what is something that some of their experiences or their realizations, or something that is a blockade in their path, something that's hindering them from progressing on their path. It could be some mundane things, it could be some ordinary things on a family life, something is going on, or in social life, professional life, something is going on. So in a very confidential way, devotees share their heart with each other. And remember not to break that confidence. Remember not to spread that around. If when somebody shares that in confidence with you, it's again like family. So this verse is basically showing you that your real family is with devotees, because they are sajatiya. They're of the same jati as you. They have accepted Supreme Lord as the goal of their life, Krishna as their param gati. So you're all heading towards the same destination. You're all children of Krishna. So as that, you're sharing your love with each other, showing your love for each other by having these 6 beautiful exchanges. So share your heart and mind with each other in confidence. That is a sign of very strong, loving, emotional bonding between devotees. Bhunkte bhojayate chaiva. Bhunkte bhojayate means to feed each other, to give prasadam to each other. So somebody sometimes calls you home to give you prasadam, to feed you prasadam. They lovingly prepare prasad for you. Or you prepare prasad for them, you take prasad for them. Like that, you're offering prasad to each other to feed each other lovingly. Again, that is a sign of love between devotees, because prasad is mercy of the Lord. So to give each other mercy like that is a very beautiful way of expressing your love. So these are the 6 symptoms of love. Let's keep going. These first 4 verses, again, these are memory verses. Please try to remember them. Let's go to verse 5. From verse 5, let's just read the translations, because the recitation becomes very complicated. So we have discussed how to associate with devotees in a positive way, in a loving way. Now, this verse will tell us how to show respect to the devotees of different caliber, different levels. So we are in devotional service, we are associating with devotees, we are exchanging affection with them, but there are different types of devotees, because everybody's on a different platform, not everybody's on the same level. So some people are more advanced, some people are on a middle level, some people are just starting, they're on the lower level. So their faith is different, their knowledge is different. So they're on different levels of practices. There are different levels of nishtha, ruchi, rati, like that. So how should we offer respects to different type of devotees? So please read this. Let's see how to show respect. Can someone read it?
Hare Krishna, can I read?
Yes.
One should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. One should offer the humble obeisances to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation, Diksha, and is a, this is not being seen, and is a,
Is engaged in.
No, this word, your photo is coming on away. Is engaged.
Okay, I can read.
This is coming, photo is coming on the way. Is engaged.
It's okay, I can read this. We're running out of time. So I'll just quickly read. One should mentally honor the devotees who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. One should offer humble obeisances to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation or diksha and is engaged in worshipping the deity. And one should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. So this verse is telling us how to honor the devotees of different types. So if somebody is chanting the holy names of Krishna, we should offer them obeisances, like either mentally or physically. Somebody who has undergone diksha and is doing deity worship, we should if somebody's chanting the names but not initiated, we can mentally honor them. If somebody's initiated and performing deity worship, we should pay them physical obeisances. If somebody is a pure devotee, then we should associate with and faithfully serve them. So we should hear from them and serve them. Body seva, vapu seva, and most importantly, vani seva of the pure devotees like our gurus. In our discussion, we had discussed that we do not have much understanding between neophyte and madhyam adhikari. So we should just treat everyone by giving them physical obeisances and as much as possible, mental obeisances, mental honor, everyone, and physically also if possible. So we don't try to distinguish too much. But in purport, Prabhupada has described the three levels of devotees. Kanishta Adhikari is neophyte, Madhyam Adhikari or is intermediate level of devotee, and the advanced level is Uttam Adhikari, who is the first class devotee, topmost devotee. So the topmost devotee is the one who is engaged in unmotivated, undeviated, uninterrupted devotional service. Devotional service की दो qualities होती हैं. One, it is consistent. It is uninterrupted and meaning consistent. Secondly, it is unmotivated, meaning there is no benefit in this, no fruitive benefit looked for. There is no, it is done purely selflessly. It is done as a service. So it should be unmotivated and uninterrupted. It should be consistent and selfless. So that is called pure devotional service. So that is what a pure devotee is engaged in. And he sees everybody in relationship with Krishna. He sees everybody as spirit soul. Everybody is part and parcel of Krishna. So he engages everyone in service of the Lord. That is a pure devotee. Madhyam Adhikaris are the one who have a very high level of faith and conviction, very high level of knowledge also, but they preach, so they have to distinguish on the bodily level. They distinguish between four types of people. One, that are envious. They try to avoid envious people. उनकी वो अपेक्षा करते हैं, उनको avoid करते हैं. Simple-minded people that are just ignorant, but they are very, they have faith and they want to engage in service. Those people, they engage in services and they preach them also. With devotees, they have loving relationships or friendships. They have metri or mitrata with devotees, and with Uttam Adhikaris, with Guru Varga, and with Krishna, they have prem. They have love. So like that, four types of people. With Krishna and Guru, prem. With Uttam Adhikaris or Guru, they have love. That is one. With devotees, they have friendships. With innocent people, simple-minded people, they preach, they engage them in services, and envious people or complicated people that reject devotional service, that are not very amenable or very favorable, they ignore those people. So like that, there are four levels that Madhyam Adhikari distinguishes. And Kanishta Adhikari is has very low level of faith, very low level of knowledge. They tend to get distracted and deviated very easily from the path. They pay more respects to, let's say, deity in the temple, not so much to the devotee. So they don't consider respect or etiquettes towards devotees a very important subject. So उनके लिए devotees के लिए बहुत ज़्यादा respect नहीं रहती कनिष्ठ अधिकारी में. And also these are the people that Prabhupada recommends to engage in deity worship, because that's where they are mostly inclined, and they can get purified by that deity worship, because they can only perceive Lord in the deity. So they are recommended to perform deity worship also. So that is Kanishta Adhikari. Let's keep going. We're running out of time. I'm not going to discuss last three verses anyways, because we have discussed them just recently. So just 2 or 3 more to discuss, then we will start Kahoot. Verse 6. So we have done how to associate with devotees, then we have done how to pay respect to the devotees. Now verse 6 is how not to have negative association with the devotees, meaning avoid fault finding of the devotees. So we discussed positive association with the devotees, how to show them respect and how to show them loving exchange. Now this verse is talking about, so you see 3 verses out of 11 are spent on the devotee relationships. So verse 6 is about how not to find faults from in in the devotees, especially Uttamadhikaris. So not to see devotees on the bodily platform. Can someone read this? Are you still seeing the box on the screen like before? Or is it gone?
I can read, Mataji.
Yes, ma'am.
Being situated in his original Krishna consciousness position, a pure devotee does not identify with the body. Such a devotee should not be seen from a materialistic point of view. Indeed, one should overlook a devotee's having a body born in a low family, a body with a bad complexion, a deformed body, or deceased or infirm body. According to ordinary vision, such imperfections may seem prominent in the body of a pure devotee, but despite such seeming defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. It is exactly like the waters of the Gangas, which sometimes during the rainy season are full of bubbles, foam, and mud. The Ganga water do not become polluted. Those who are advanced in spiritual understanding will bathe in the Ganga without considering the condition of the water. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this is saying not to see devotees from material viewpoint, from bodily viewpoint. Don't look at which family they are, especially pure devotees. We should not do that for any devotee actually, Prabhupada says in purport, but especially pure devotees. Don't judge devotees based on which family they are born, if they are born in a low class family or they grew up eating meat or some other things. If they have some handicap, they have some disease, they have some affliction, they have bad complexion, or there could be some mental or intellectual deficiencies also, right? Because a lot of devotees, especially we talked about Prabhupada's disciples, that they're getting very old, 80 plus. So there may be some deficiencies in the intellect, like then you can't start judging, oh, they cannot memorize the verses, or they're not able to quote, or they're not speaking properly. No, those are body related faults. But you cannot see devotees from bodily platform. This is a great aparad. So just like looking at Ganga and just seeing the mud and foam and bubbles in it, and you think that okay, Ganga is now polluted, Ganga meli ho gayi, and that's a very great aparad, because Ganga is a transcendental. It's divine. It always remains divine, whether to your external vision or externally. You have polluted or it looks polluted, without considering that condition of the water. The Ganges water is always transcendental and divine. Similarly, the Vaishnavas, the devotees, they are transcendental. They are engaged in service of the Lord. So you should always look at the services of the devotees. See how they are engaged in such beautiful services to Krishna. Look at their body of work that they have done for Krishna. Don't look at their afflictions and external, bodily problems, and judge them or make comments on those kind of things. Is very very much against Vaishnav
वैसे अब कमर
Sadachar.
दर्द तो ठीक हो गई है, चली जाओ.
So so that is very much against the Vaishnav Sadachar. Okay, let me see. And then Prabhupada in his purport had commented on how his disciples were very much discriminated by his god brothers, because they were from, they were white body, they were not from Brahman family, they were foreigners, so they were discriminated, they were criticized by his god brothers, who did not want them to have all these samskaras or wear the Brahman thread or engage in yagyas and sacrifices and homams. They did not want them to chant Vedic mantras or Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So there was a lot of discrimination being shown by certain sections of society, especially from Brahmins and from other even traditional, conventional type of Vaishnavas who were judging these people on bodily platforms. So Prabhupada's disciples actually faced a lot of discrimination and criticism like that. But again, if you are true Vaishnav, you understand that Krishna is not limited to a certain land or certain section of people. You do not have proprietorship over Krishna. He belongs to everyone. Whoever is engaged in service of the Lord is a devotee of the Lord. Just because somebody is born in a certain family but you do not engage in any service, just because you know all the Vedic mantras, you know all the knowledge, but you do not practice or teach that knowledge, what is the purpose of that knowledge then? So that is not the goal, to find faults on the bodily platform. And we had also discussed in this relation that in your association there may be certain devotees who are externally conducting themselves in a way that is not very appealing. Then if you are if you are in charge of those devotees, if they are under your guidance, under your care, under your mentorship, then you can gently guide those devotees to conduct, like what to wear, how to speak, those kind of things. People will guide you, your superior devotees will guide you. So you cannot throw this verse at them and say that he's guiding me based on externals. No, we externals also matter, but only if you have adhikar on someone, only if somebody has put themselves under your care, then you will gently guide them so that their conduct, external conduct, especially things that can be fixed, we should work on those externals. So how to speak, how to conduct, what to wear, those things are under our control. But diseases and things are not in our control, but our conduct, our external behavior, etc., our things that we wear, tilak that we put, all these things are in under our control. So some of our superiors do have the right to point those shortcomings, external shortcomings, so we can improve. So that should not be taken as a fault finding or as a critique. It's just a feedback for positive improvement. So that's a difference to understand. Verse 7, let's read. So now we have talked about devotee association. Now Rup Goswami is changing track and he's talking about a very beautiful analogy in this verse. Let's read next verse. Can someone read?
I can read.
Yes.
The holy name, character, pastimes, and activities of Krishna are all transcendently sweet like sugar candy. Although the tongue of one afflicted by the jaundice of avidya, ignorance, cannot taste anything sweet, it is wonderful that simply by carefully chanting these sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens within his tongue, and the disease is gradually destroyed at the root.
Let's read the next one also. Navya, can you read the verse 8 also?
Yes. The essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time, 24 hours a day, in nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name, transcendental form, qualities, and eternal pastimes, thereby gradually engaging one's tongue and mind. In this way, one should reside in Vraja, Golok Vrindavan Dham, and serve Krishna under the guidance of his devotees. One should follow in the footsteps of the Lord's beloved devotees who are deeply attached to his devotional service.
Very bold. So let's take these two verses together. Verse 7 is a beautiful analogy about how if somebody has jaundice, then their tongue cannot taste the sweetness of sugarcane. And when you give them sugarcane, they find it bitter actually. Also, sugarcane is the treatment for jaundice, but they're not able to take it because they find it bitter. So here the analogy is given that in this world, we are all suffering from material disease of avidya, of ignorance. We are suffering from bhavrog. So to us, the Krishna's name, form, qualities, pastimes, which are so sweet and beautiful like sugar candy, taste very bitter because we have this jaundice. We have the jaundice of bhavrog, jaundice of ignorance. So to us, these sweet names taste very bitter. But actually, just like sugarcane is the treatment for jaundice, similarly, those same names that taste bitter to us are the treatment for bhavrog. But we can't take them because they are so bitter. So what should we do? As a prescription on a daily basis, we should take those names as a medicine, as a prescription or as a medicine, we should take the name. So even though sugarcane is tasting bitter to the person with jaundice, he should take a little bit of sugarcane juice every day as a medicine or as a prescription until his jaundice goes away and the sugarcane starts tasting sweet to him. Similarly, we should chant the names of Krishna carefully every day even though we don't have any attachment or taste for them, until those names become sweet and we develop attachment and taste for them, because that means our disease is going away. That means our jaundice of ignorance is going away. So gradually the disease will get destroyed at the root by chanting these sweet names every day. That's why a prescription is given in this day and age. A prescription is given that you should chant these many names, and we should stick to those names. We should decide a prescription, how much medicine we are going to take, and take that much medicine every day without fail. That is why we take a vow when we start our devotional life. That is why it is said initiation is the start of spiritual life. It is not the end, it is the start. It is the initiation into devotional life or spiritual life, which means that you have become ready to take the medicine every day. You have vowed to the doctor that I'm going to take this medicine every day on a daily basis, this much time, this many times. Frequency and dosage has been given to you, and you have agreed to follow that prescription. So that's the start of your cure. Now you're on the path of becoming cured. You have a doctor, you are the patient, and a patient is who is reliable, who's taking the medicine as prescribed. He will not stop until doctor tells him, and this is the prescription. Then the next verse, Rup Goswami says, so the Upadesh Saram, or the essence of all advice, is that every day we should chant, we should engage in some kind of Krishna conscious activities in which we do kirtan. We glorify, chant, read, or narrate the name, form, qualities, pastimes of the Lord. It could be in any way. It could be by reading the books, it could be by speaking the Hari Katha, it could be by hearing the Hari Katha, it could be by chanting the names, it could be by singing the names, it could be by remembering the name, form, qualities, pastimes of the Lord. And that is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. All this is included in these activities: chanting, singing, reading, hearing, speaking, remembering. All these things should be done. And in this way, one should utilize their time daily, engaging one's tongue and mind. So gradually, by engaging this tongue and mind, every day one will become purified. So this is the essence of all advice, that every day we need to do this. And in this way, and this should be done under the guidance of a devotee of Krishna, under the guidance of a pure devotee of the Krishna. So then we started talking about two marg. There are two margs. One is sadhana marg, in which we are engaged under the guidance of our guru or seniors, under the guidance of devotees, meaning guidance of a guru. That is sadhana marg. And rag marg is in which we are under the we are following in the footstep of an associate of Krishna. Like somebody is following in the footstep of one of the Gopas or one of the Gopis or Yashoda Maya or Nand Maharaj. That is rag marg. So difference between sadhana marg and rag marg is sadhana bhakti is done as a disciplinary practice by following the do's and don'ts or regulative principles, whereas rag marg is the spontaneous love and attachment for Krishna, where there is no need for discipline, because bhakta is a premi bhakta who's very attached to Krishna, spontaneously attached. They do not need any reminders. They do not need any rules, regulations, or discipline. They're spontaneously attached to those activities. That's a rag marg. So in this way, we should render service to the Lord by under the guidance of devotees. Then 9, 10, 11, we did last time, where Rup Goswami talks about Brajvas, that there is a hierarchy of spiritual places. He mentions 5 places, Vaikuntha, then next level is Mathura, next level is Vrindavan. In Vrindavan, there is Govardhan, and in Govardhan, at the foothills of Govardhan, there is a pond of Radharani, which is called Radha Kund. And Radha Kund is considered the topmost spiritual destination for bhaktas. So why it is topmost destination? Because it is the liquefied love of Radharani for Krishna. So just like Radharani is love personified, Radha Kund is love liquefied. So she is a person who embodies love, and Radha Kund or her pond is the is liquid pond made of just Krishna's love. So that is why Radha Kund is so topmost, and Radha and Krishna have performed a lot of pastimes in Radha Kund. So it is the dearmost object of love for Krishna. So Krishna considers it almost equal to Radharani. And this next verse talked about hierarchy of different types of devotees. Karm Kandi devotees that are engaged in pious activities, rituals, etc. are the lowest. Then there are Gyanis, which are engaged in knowledge, acquiring knowledge. Then Gyan Vimukta, who are liberated by their Gyan. Then there are Bhaktas, initial Bhaktas, which are struggling in devotional service. Then Premi Bhaktas. Amongst Premi Bhaktas, there are Gopis. And amongst Gopis, there is Radharani. So hierarchy of पहले places था, अब hierarchy of devotees है. So this is hierarchy of devotees in which Radharani is topmost. So that's why her kunda, her pond is the topmost object of love and object of worship of devotees. So this is the place where one should reside, one should try to attain, but this is attained by rarity. It is very rare to be attained even by very great devotees like Narad Muni and other associates like that. So it's a very topmost place, but it is very difficult to achieve. So if one bathes in it, one's pure love of Krishna is fully aroused. So this is the nectar of instruction. Congratulations everyone for joining and for finishing and sticking to the end to complete this beautiful book of Rup Goswami. Thank you. Anybody has any questions? Anyone wants to share anything before we start Kahoot?
Can we quickly do the Kahoot? Because
Yes.
it's a bit late.
Okay, yes, let's start Kahoot. Everybody knows how to play Kahoot, right? Do we have the devices? Please get second device ready. I'll need to